Hi students, welcome to Smarter Everyday Overlearning Ocean of Chemistry. Today in this session I have brought it for you the topic Organic Chemistry, some basic principles and techniques from grade 11 and CERT. In this chapter we are going to learn about the complete detailed information about organic chemistry and what are the concepts we have in our chapter. Let's see first of all at the end of this chapter what are the topics you will be learning, the learning objectives. One by one I am going to share with you. First one is reasons for tetravalence of carbon and shapes of organic molecules. Here from this chapter, from this topic, reasons for tetravalence of carbon, here you are going to learn about the valency of carbon and how many bonds carbon is going to form with another atoms and what are the shapes of some organic molecules, just like you can see in this picture, orbital picture of methane molecule here and some bond angles and bond lengths also in this diagram you can see. The next diagram is about orbital picture of ethane and this is one of the alkanes here and bond angles and the bond lengths also you can see in this picture. So that is the concept you are going to learn. And the next one is orbital picture of ethene molecule. This is one of the alkene group, alkene, and p electron cloud consists of two equal halves here, one lying about, other below the plane, and here you can see the bond, pi bond and sigma bond and pi bond here of carbon in between carbon and hydrogen atoms. This is the picture of orbital picture of ethyne acetylene molecule and here you can see pi bond and sigma bond formation here, orbital picture of ethyne or acetylene molecule and here surrounded by cylindrical pi electron cloud you can see in this picture. In that way you are going to learn about the tetravalency of carbon and different shapes of organic molecules. Right, the next one is second one, the learning objective of 2, to write structures of organic compounds basing upon its chemical formula. Okay, just we can see the examples of this. Just by seeing the chemical formula or molecular formula of a compound, you have to write the chemical structure of a compound like this. That is learning objective 2. And next one, number 3, name the compounds according to IUPAC system of nomenclature. Here IUPAC means it stands for International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry. Basing upon this, you can give the names for the compounds and basing upon its structure. Here you can say to name the compounds according to IUPAC system of nomenclature and also derive their structures from the given names. Basing upon the names you can derive the structures also you are going to learn in this chapter. In this concept, basing upon the structure of the compound, you can identify the substituent group and what is the prefix and what is the substituent group again, and alcoholic group or the next one, and secondary prefix also some types are there. You are going to learn about this briefly, which organic compound it belonging and what is its IUPAC name, and the next one is primary prefix and secondary prefix like this. In this concept all the organic reactions can be, you have to learn about these substitution reactions and addition and elimination reactions, rearrangement reactions, condensation reactions and isomerization reactions, pericyclic and polymerization reactions also you are going to learn in this class with some examples. And the next one is to explain the influence of electronic displacement on the structure and reactivity of organic compounds. Here the electronic displacement reactions also you can see in this chapter, and the next one is to recognize to explain the influence of electronic displacements on structures and reactivity of organic compounds. Here, basing upon the reactivity, you can identify the electronic displacements on the structure. And the next one is to recognize the type of organic reactions. Some examples they have given, and among them you need to identify the organic reactions, which type of organic reaction it is, whether it is substitute reaction and addition reaction, or nucleophilic or electrophilic reactions, like that you need to identify. And the next one, to learn the techniques of purification of organic compounds while it's extraction process. To learn the techniques of purification of organic compounds while their extraction. Okay, to write the chemical reaction involve the qualitative analysis of organic compounds. Here you can learn about qualitative and as well as quantitative reactions also, and qualitative analysis also in this chapter, organic chemistry, and some basic principles and techniques. Let's start our today's session with introduction of organic chemistry. Basically, carbon, due to its unique property of catenation. Here, catenation property means carbon is ready to form long chains with another atoms, okay, and to form covalent bonds with other carbon atoms, to form covalent bonds, and also forms covalent bonds with the atoms of halogens also, just like chlorine, bromine, fluorine, and iodine, and other elements such as oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus. All these compounds are studied under a separate branch of chemistry, that is only called what we have here, organic chemistry. Okay, and organic compounds are essential for existence and maintenance of life on earth, and these include complex molecules just like deoxynucleic acid, which transmit genetic information from one generation to another, and proteins, which constitute essential components of our blood, muscles, and skin. Most of the materials which we use daily, such as clothing, fuels, and polymers, dyes also, and medicines are made up of only organic compounds. Okay, now you have to identify which one is the organic compound and which one is the inorganic compound, right? You can see now distinction between organic and inorganic compounds. There are mainly three major sources of naturally occurring substances from minerals and plants and animals. These are the three main sources, naturally occurring substances. And basically, basing upon these, compounds can be classified into two classes. Those are organic substances, and the next one is inorganic substances. And the compounds like urea, sugars, oils, fats, and dyes, proteins, and vitamins, these are which were isolated directly or indirectly from living organisms such as animals and plants. Living organisms were called organic compounds, and the branch of chemistry which deal with the study of these compounds was called organic chemistry, right? On the other hand, compounds like common salt, just like NaCl, common salt, sodium chloride, and marble, alums, blue and green vitriols, these are which are isolated from non-living sources, such as non-living sources, rocks and minerals, were called inorganic compounds, inorganic. And the branch of chemistry which dealt with the study of these compounds is called as inorganic chemistry. Next one, vital force theory. Basing upon this theory, we have to prepare one organic compound from one inorganic compound. Okay? Until early 19th century, it was believed that organic compounds can't be prepared in the laboratory but can only be isolated from animals and plants. On the basis of this belief, the scientist Berzelius, a leading chemist in the year of 1915, proposed the theory of vital force theory. According to this theory, organic compounds are produced only under the influence of some mysterious force existing in the living organism. This force only is called as vital force. Since such a mysterious force can't be created artificially, it is impossible to synthesize organic compounds in the laboratory. And this theory proposed that, let's see the equations. The German chemist made an interesting discovery. He accidentally obtained that compound urea, a well-known organic compound urea, present in the urine of man, and other mammals also, by evaporating an aqueous solution of ammonium cyanate. The formula is ammonium cyanate. A typical inorganic compound is obtained by double decomposition of ammonium chloride, nothing but NH4Cl, ammonium chloride, and potassium cyanate plus KCNO, potassium cyanate. Let's see the chemical equation for this reaction. How can we prepare? By using this inorganic compound NH4CNO by addition of some reagents, and how can we get that urea, that is nothing but organic compound. Ammonium chloride plus potassium cyanate here, and reaction between these two compounds, and we have to get ammonium cyanate here plus KCl, potassium chloride. And from, if you take this compound and you can add some reagents here, and by applying some heat you can get the compound which has inorganic properties, that is urea, organic nature, organic compound this is. And if you draw the structure for this urea, NH2, and here carbon, double bond O, and here one nitrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen. This is the structure for urea. Finally, what we obtained. Now let's see the concept of tetravalency of carbon. Carbon is the essential element of all the organic molecules. Do you know that very well? Its electronic configuration, let's see, basing upon its atomic number, that is 6. Electronic configuration should be 1s2, 2s2, 2p2, right? And here this is the K shell, this is the L shell. So second shell, that is the L shell, is the outermost shell here, outermost shell, and outermost shell contains here only 4 electrons. So 4 is its valency. So then we can say carbon needs to form 4 bonds with all the atoms. Carbon has 4 electrons in its outermost shell, nothing but valency shell. Thus it needs 4 more electrons to complete its octet. That means to get 8 electrons, that is only complete octet. Therefore carbon is tetravalent. Further it is very difficult for carbon to either gain or loss of electrons, 4 electrons, to achieve the nearest inert gas electronic configuration. Consequently, carbon always combines with other atoms by mutual sharing of electrons. mutual sharing of electrons, and to form the bond, that is covalent bond. Mutual sharing of electrons, the formed bond is nothing but covalent bond, right? The organic compounds contain carbon as the essential element. Carbon, essential element. Therefore, the nature of chemical bonding in organic compounds always that is covalent. Okay, right. Thus, carbon is always, you can say, basing upon its valency, that is tetracovalent. Tetracovalent, that is forms for 4 covalent bonds with other atoms, just like if, for suppose, if I take the example of methane here, methane, the formula is CH4 and the structure carbon and 4 hydrogen atoms. So this is the structure for CH4. These are the bonds, 4 covalent bonds in between carbon and hydrogen, right? And if I take the example of carbon tetrachloride, that is CCl4, and middle, the central atom should be carbon here, and 4 chlorine atoms should be surrounded atoms. Like this the arrangement should be. And if I take the another example of ethane, nothing but alkane group ethane, the formula is C2H6, C2H6, and here middle of them 2 carbon atoms are located here like this, and around these carbons 3 hydrogens here located and another 3 hydrogens are here. So totally 6 hydrogen atoms and 2 carbon atoms. However, these structures do not reveal as to what is the spatial orientation of these 4 bonds, whether they are planar, that is lie in the same plane, or non-polar, in different planes. Okay, this is the structures of the carbon compounds, and this is about the tetravalency of the carbon, atom basing upon its electronic configuration and its outermost valency. Okay students, this is about only the introduction class of organic chemistry, some basic principles and techniques, only the introduction of the title. And okay, further classes I am going to give you full and clear idea and some more interesting concepts of your chapters. Okay, this is about the first concept and first part and the first session of this chapter wise explanations of you. And okay students, let's conclude our session, what we have learned in this class. Let's recall some basic principles and techniques of chemistry and learning objectives. At the end of this chapter, what we have to learn finally, those are all explained now in this session. And difference between organic and inorganic compounds here basing upon its origin. Okay, and examples also I have explained to you now, and halogen groups and some other examples also, and main source I have explained to you, minerals, plants and animals. This is about the main introduction of this chapter. And the next one is vital force theory. Vital force theory also basing upon this, how we can prepare from inorganic compound, the organic compound. The best example is urea, and the structure of urea also I have explained in this class. Okay students, in our next class, the shapes of organic molecules, shapes of simple organic molecules, I'll explain to you. And okay, let's conclude our today's session, and I'll meet you in my next class. Please subscribe to this channel. Okay, if you understand this class, please convey your doubts and your views in comment section. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.